Right, YouTube. It is Mr. Mean coming at you this fine Sunday afternoon about almost 3 o'clock. Uh, this is probably going up on Moonbeam first. And all my subscribers on Moonbeam will get it first, and then I'll set it to debut tomorrow, Monday at like noon. So to give the algorithm time to make sure it gets to the people who like this sort of thing. I wanted to take a quick second to just say thank you to everybody. We got a couple of new subscribers. Unfortunately, once you get over a certain limit, YouTube doesn't tell you who the new subscribers are. So all I can say is welcome, and I hope you enjoy your stay here and you find something cool. Turn the light on here. Boop. There we go. A little brighter. Um, so Saturday night is my in-home Pathfinder game. But one of our players couldn't make it because he's got family in town. So we had to postpone our game, but I still wanted to get everybody together. And so I thought, well, I would give Daggerheart a try because I just got it in the mail on Thursday. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to read, but I read as much as I could. I watched a couple of live play videos and stuff. Of course, I watched Critical Role's Umbra. Uh, and I'm going to tell you first off, I obviously have a lot of games, as you can see behind me, and I've played a lot of games. I have GM'd a lot of games. This is a banger. This is a winner. Um, it. I mean, there's parts of like Dungeon World and Powered by the Apocalypse, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Pathfinder, D&D, Castles and Crusades. There's like things from all of those games in here that are just banging, and I really enjoy certain aspects. But there's like no perfect RPG, and you're never gonna find one. But this is pretty close. This is pretty darn close. I the setup, the engagement of getting to play. We made characters last night. Took about 4 hours to make characters, but we had 4 players. One of the guys is really slow on the uptake. He's hard of hearing. He has hearing aids. Um, and then just character, it's analysis paralysis, and I get it. I have the same problem when I'm making a character, because I can go 1,800 different ways, which is why I tend to usually not play and GM, because for me GMing is easier, as crazy as that sounds. The way my mind works, GMing is easier for me than being a player. Go figure. But uh man, you get, I think it's 3 settings in here. Uh, is it 3 settings? Yes. Campaign frames. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get 6 settings in here, which I kind of like the Umbra one, but I'm calling it the Dark. But it's very similar. Uh, and it's funny because I've been having this idea for a game world brewing around in my head for quite a while, and it took this game to have it click and make sense. The art in here is gorgeous. The cards make sense. I at first was skeptical and I didn't back the like collector's edition or whatever you want to call it, because I was like, cards are your role playing, and that's stupid, blah. you know. I did like the fact that it uses a D12. I think that's great because D12 is an underutilized die. The only other game I know that uses a D12 is can't think of the name of it right now, but it's just like a steampunk RPG, Tefra. There we go. Which is another really good steampunk fantasy game with unique races and stuff in it. So yeah, if you haven't checked out my review on Tefra, I got a couple of videos on it. Go back in the archive, check those out. But Daggerheart combines so many different games. Like their fear mechanic is pretty much the same thing as Threat from like Star Trek, or the Dark Symmetry from Mutant Chronicles. It's the same kind of concept. And they give credit to Modiphius in here. They give credit to Dungeon World, Powered by the Apocalypse. A couple of other games, Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons. There's a little bit of something in here for everybody. My group the five guys, six guys that I have in my group, last night only four of them could get together because one had car troubles and the other one had family in town. Those four players really dug it. They liked it. There's a lot of this game gives you agency as a player. Everybody felt unique. Now, what we did do is we went through the character classes and the races. I didn't want anybody to double up on anything, so I wanted everybody to play something different and unique. So we had a human, we had a Dracona, which is basically a dragonborn. We had a giant, which when you say giant, you're like, oh my god. They're only like their tallest they get is 8.5 feet, but they get up to three eyes. So they can have one eye like a cyclops, two eyes like a normal humanoid, or three eyes. Um, our player had three. Um, it was super cool. He was like 8 feet tall. He was a warrior. It was pretty cool. We had the Dracona was a seraph who was basically a guardian. We had a goblin ranger, which was pretty awesome. He stole the show as far as the comedic intent. And we had a human sorcerer, which they all did cool stuff. They all had their moment of limelight. We had a big fight with an ogre, which is a tier one solo, so it's supposed to be tough. And first thing out of the gate, they found its lair. They tracked it to its cave, a cave basically. And as they were getting to the cave, I spent fear to have the ogre go first, and he threw a boulder, a giant boulder, and they were kind of clumped up together, and so it hit them all. And so we rolled, and everybody took a little bit of damage. The Seraph Guardian, of course, I am your shield, which is one of the Seraph's powers, took it. So he took 22 points of damage, which was obviously over his threshold. And then he took another 22 points of damage, which again is over his threshold. But he has a power where he can spend, uh, when he stresses, he can mark two shields, and then he has another power that lets him reduce it by one, because each damage would have been severe, but he was able to knock it down to a moderate. So instead of losing four armor, he only lost two. So he basically cut both of the sets of damages in half. And I'm pretty sure we did it right. We went over it a couple times. There's a learning curve, but we all seem to really enjoy it. I enjoyed it as a GM because I was able to throw very difficult stuff at them, and they were able to, as a team, do it. Whereas I feel like if you threw first level D&D characters, if you threw a very challenging encounter at them, there's a good chance they're gonna one of or two of them might die. But in this case, they powered through it. I didn't even get a chance to hit with the with the giant because their synergy and the way they were working was just amazing. And I didn't think it was right to. I could have obviously spent fear to make my giant go again, but I didn't think that was fair. I wanted to give them a chance to flex, and the warrior, the giant, hit it and did a really good amount of damage. And then the sorcerer zapped it, and then the ranger, the goblin ranger, hit it with a bow once, or I think once. The seraph didn't get to really attack, but the seraph was taking damage for other party members, and so the seraph didn't really get to flex too much, but did get to absorb all the damage and everything and do what a guardian is supposed to do. So it was really cool. I had these little skull tokens that I had gotten off of a Halloween trinket, a necklace, a cheap necklace from, like, the Dollar Tree or something. And I had broken it years ago. I use it as Doom or Dark Symmetry tokens in either Mutant Chronicles by Modiphius or Doom in Conan by Modiphius. And man, I gotta say, those worked great. The players liked seeing it, and every time they rode with fear, or failed, and I got a fear. It was pretty cool. The GM starts with one fear per player. I had four players, so I started with four fear, and then we went from there. So it was pretty cool. kind of like the concept of threat or doom in Mutant Chronicles, or light side, dark side in Star Wars or Edge of the Empire. So there's a lot of influences from different games. There was a lot of experiences. Like, so each player had to work with me. And that took a moment because some of my players aren't as, I don't want to say imaginative, but they're not as familiar with role playing games. They're still learning. I mean, the biggest game, we've only played 3 games so far, and we've been together a year and a half. And it's been, of course, Pathfinder Second Edition, Savage Worlds Rifts, and Palladium Fantasy. That's the only 3 games some of these guys have played. Oh, and Dragonbane. We did play Dragonbane. That's how we first came together as a group. But the everybody felt like it just, there was something about Dragonbane that wasn't there for us. It wasn't hitting on all cylinders. We wanted a little more crunch, and we wanted some good fantasy. And so I pitched Pathfinder to the group, and we've been in love with it ever since. Players are about to hit 8th level when they finish this current adventure. They will ding 8th, and then we may take a break from Pathfinder to play this. Really enjoyed last night. Had a lot of fun. Made sense. Everything was synergistic. Everything was cohesive. We took a little time to like explore the world a little bit, and kind of go off of our. I didn't read the Age of Umbra in here. I kind of get the gist of it from watching Critical Role last week and seeing the dark. But in my game, the dark is the year. It's a 12-month year, 30 days roughly on every month, and July 1st starts the season of darkness. So January to June 31st, you have the season of light. There's 2 seasons, and that's basically, for better or worse, it's summer from January to June, and then from July to December is winter. And that's, everybody tries to get the crops in before the end of June. Sometimes you can go a little bit longer, like some of the hardier crops, but the weather starts to turn and get nasty. You get a lot of rain, you get a lot of cold, you get a lot of snow, and it stays darker longer, and that's why they call it the dark. Well, the darkness is this evil entity that has taken hold and is growing in power, and it's going to be up to the players to figure out how to stop it and bring the light back, because there's the light and the dark. The light is from January to June, and the dark is a normal part of the progression. It's not necessarily evil, but because the darkness has taken hold of the dark, there are things that go bump in the night that are getting worse, and like dying. If you die in the forest, the darkness consumes you and brings you back to life. So very similar to the Umbra in that aspect. The church, which is called the Light, there's one church. There are different deities within that church, or that pantheon, that the players can all worship, and I'm working with them to create those. So they can all do different things, and they can have different focuses on their belief of religion. So like the human will have his choice of religions and what he wants to do. The giant will have theirs, and so on and so forth. The goblin will have its ideas and everything. And so really cool. We're making notes. It it sparked dialogue between the players. They took it on themselves as they were reading how to create a character. I printed off a little packet that you can download from Darrington Press, and it's basically a player sheet, a GM sheet, an equipment sheet, because of all the starting equipment and stuff. And they just flew through it. I mean, once we got through picking the cards, that was the hardest part, was picking the cards to figure out what we were going to, who was going to be what. But once we got the cards, and my advice to other game masters is download the PDF of the cards and print extras of what you're, once everybody figures out what they want to be. If there's overlap, because you only get one set of cards. When you buy, it's $60, and you get the core book, and you get a box full of all the cards, which has the ancestry, the community, and everything, and the spells and abilities in it. You only get one set of everything. So I had 4 players and we had a little bit of overlap, not much, but there was some overlap. And so what I would recommend is download the PDF, print it, laminate the cards, put them in sleeves, whatever you want to do, and then go forth from there. And you should be solid. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I thought character creation was really smooth. Like I said, once we got past the complicated part of choosing cards, and they started reading the little walkthrough that guides you on a character, and they got down to the bonds basically, they took off on their own. They finished their, they picked their equipment. I didn't really do anything. They put their armor on. They figured out the secondary stats all from that little handout that I gave them. And then on top of that, they started asking each other, like they would look at somebody and go, "Okay, uh, why do you think I talk so much about my God?" And so they were like, well, and it was just the interplay going back and forth was really cool, and they got into it. And these are guys that aren't heavy role players. They're pretty much, they're all in their late 30s, early 40s, and they just want to kick in the door, kill the monsters, take their treasure, and move on. So to see them interacting and asking each other questions and developing this character was super cool for me, because that's what I've been trying to get them to do for the year and a half we've been playing, and it just never gelled until last night, where they were like, "Oh yeah, and maybe you saved me, and we were," and so it was so the Goblin Ranger, who's a sewer ranger. He lives below the city, the town. It's a big town called Acre. It's a big farming town, but it has a sewer underneath it, and he's down there because he's a goblin, and he just thought it was funny. But when we got above ground and they got into the darkness, he was totally fine because he could see in the dark. He was used to being by himself and navigating and scouting. And so when he was doing all that stuff, even though he wasn't in a sewer, he was still in his element. And so he really got into his character. He played his character very well. His name is Bryce, and he's been playing a lot of different role playing games. So he really, really liked the system. They love the duality system. The 2D12s, Hope and Fear, made a lot of sense. And they started spending, stress or hope, or giving me fear, depending on if they failed a roll or whatever. We didn't. So like the goblins, super. He put his +2 in agility, so he wanted to like get up on one of the houses and look to scout. And I'm like, why roll for that? He's a goblin. He has a +2 in agility, where the average is +0 for every creature or being. He's at a +2, so he's 2 times better. So scampering up the side of a house and climbing, that's second nature to him. And so I didn't make him roll for that. Like in D&D, you would roll because maybe you would slip and fall and you could get hurt and you could take falling damage. Even in Pathfinder, that would probably constitute a roll. But I was like, in Daggerheart, I was like, why? Why does that have to be a roll? He's a goblin. He's already super, dexterous, or he's agile, and he's small and light. Why can't he just bound up there and do what he needs to do and be a scout, because he's a ranger? That's what rangers do. They scout, they look for trouble. And so it worked out really well. So he was asking, he picked up his dice, he was ready to roll. He was ready to roll with the duality dice. I was like, no, you don't have to roll. You're a ranger, you're super agile, and you're a goblin. You're fast, you're quick. You get up there with no problem. You look around. And then I did have him make a perception roll, though, and he rolled with hope. And yeah, and so he was able to see some stuff that the Seraph didn't see, because the Dracona Seraph was flying around because he has wings. And then he has a breath weapon, which was super cool. So everything just came together. The mechanics gelled. A little bit of a learning curve with like the armor thresholds and uh, minor, moderate, and major or severe damage, but it kind of clicked at the end for me. And I get the concept. I look more at like the monsters and the NPCs, and they don't quite have the same thing. And like when I attack, the GM doesn't roll 2d12 because I can't generate hope and fear. So I roll a d20 to attack you. And then I add whatever bonuses the monster, like the ogre had a +1 to hit. but the ogre had a lot of abilities that the ogre had like three abilities. One of them was to throw a boulder, and it could hit everybody in a certain area up to far distance. And so that worked out really well. And they just got zapped by the boulder. And like I said, they all took a little bit of damage. They marked off an armor or whatever. They did whatever they had to do, take a little stress. And we just had fun. And then the giant was able to hit the ogre uh, a second time, and or yeah, the first time, because the first time the giant hit, or the ogre hit them, I spent a fear to interrupt and have the ogre go first, and he threw the rock. Then when the party got up close enough, the giant, who has reach, was able to hit the ogre after the ranged characters did their thing. And like I said, the goblin shot a bow, and the sorcerer zapped him with a spell, and they did a fair amount of damage. But then the giant just came in and whack, and it was game over at that point. He killed him real quick. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. So all right. I don't want to take too long. I've been babbling now for 20 minutes. I just want to tell you this was awesome. If you're on the fence about Daggerheart, take it from a 30+ year GM. I've been doing this since D&D came out. I've got over 500 videos up on my channel talking about various role-playing games. I've played just about everything under the sun. This is a buy. Go get it. You're going to love it. Will it tick all the boxes for you? It may not. Let me know down the doobly-doo. Tell me what you think. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. As always, check me out on Moonbeam. Join my Discord. I have a Patreon, $5 a month. You go in every so often, I have raffles or whatever, drawings, and we get prizes and stuff. If I run games online, you get first shot at them. I'm also on startplaying.com, which is a paid for. It's $5. In my case, when I run games, I'm running Fabula Ultima and Fantasy Age 2nd Edition. So anyway, I may even try to do a third game with Daggerheart, because I really, really enjoyed it. But I'm babbling and I have something else to go do. So as always, peace and hair grease. Like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Leave a comment. YouTube algorithm likes to see the YouTubers interfacing with their audience. So leave a message or leave a comment, and I'll reply back. I try to reply to every comment. As always, peace and hair grease. Remember, Mr. Mean says be nice, and thank you, and I will catch you next time.